the live stream. Give me 1 second. We're live streaming. Just takes a second. All right, here we go. All right. Hold on. Hold on. Sorry.
I'm going to let everybody in.
Okay, go ahead, and I'm going to get the video queued up. All right.
And
hello. Hey, Amy, and Sally is there. Yes, Rita and Chuck in the house supporting their daughter. It's so nice. That's so nice. So nice. Amazing. Amazing.
welcome, everyone. Adam, are we going to start with our opening?
Here we go.
This is Sweet and Spicy.
Sweet and spicy, sweet and spicy. It's the sweet and spicy hour.
There we go. Yay.
Sweet and spicy,
That's
Can't
it.
stop
sweet
it.
and spicy.
Again. All right, everybody, welcome. Well, we have a nice, cozy group tonight. I am so excited to welcome some LBT Cooks with us tonight. We have Randi Levine and we have Laura Gottlieb, and of course, our master chef, Rabbi Ross. Rabbi Ross and I love food, and we love to share it with all of you. And we thought this would be a good time in the middle of Pesach to share our sweet and spicy recipes. I believe this is our 5th time, Rabbi Ross?
Something like that.
Something like that. So I'm going to turn it over to Rabbi Ross, who's going to be the first one. This is our spring soup special, something like that. It was an alliteration. So this is all about soup.
Amazing. Did you want to introduce our guest too?
I did.
You did? Okay, I would give them even bigger, more amazing. We have past presidents and VPs on the call. It's basically like hanging out with Joe and Kamala, which is pretty awesome. That's how I'm experiencing it. I wanted to do a series on soups. We're calling it Soup for the Soul because I think the way I've been thinking about this time, it is pandemic related. And so when I'm cooking, I do like to think bulk, and I like to think about what is going to be nourishing, feel comforting, and also be healthy, because we have been locked down for a while. So this is a soup that Liz, my beloved, shared with me a while ago. She's the master of it, and she got it from Deb Perlman, who many of you may know through Smitten Kitchen. I think, Randi, you know Smitten Kitchen, right?
I love Smitten.
You love Smitten Kitchen. So Deb Perlman is a friend of Liz. They know each other for a while, and I think that this Swiss chard with white bean soup, it's like a master soup recipe that you can go back to all the time. We make some version of it like every other week, and I always double the recipe, and then we freeze maybe 2/3 of it, and then we often have it for breakfast. What? Did I say have soup for breakfast? I did, because I think it is so fast, so easy. It's carb free, and it's fantastic, and you can mix up many things. We'll come back to that later. So this recipe is just chock full of veggies. I'm going to get the soup going. She says use shallots, but my feeling on shallots is I a little bit feel like I can't be bothered. They're so tiny. And so I just get a Vidalia onion, and I feel like I'm kind of checking that box. I did happen to have some extra, I had some leeks in the fridge that weren't looking as perky as they might.
I love leeks.
Yes, leeks are fantastic.
I love leeks.
And especially when white wine comes into the picture, I think the leeks white wine combo can spark a lot of joy. So I just doubled the recipe. Okay. So we have onions here with leeks, and my assistant Reuven is going to be here shortly. Reuven is here. Reuven, could you dump it in? You got to hold on to this and dump it in the pot. So we're gonna put this in, and Reuven's gonna stir it up a little bit. And she does a step that I skip, which she does a blanching of the chard or kale. And I honestly can't be bothered with a whole other step. So I take off the leaves. I use chard. I use a rainbow chard, and I cut out the stems. And then I, of course, wash them, and then I dice them pretty fine. And I'll put those in with the onions. And then I'll also add 2 cups of celery and 2 cups of carrots. And again, I'm just doubling the recipe that's here. So Reuben,
I love the way you did that, Rabbi.
Let that go in there, and then Reuben can add the garlic. We have garlic here. Can you add this garlic? You got to hold this so it doesn't fly off. Yeah, that's going in. Let's add a little bit more olive oil. And what we really like about soup for breakfast is that I basically every morning I want to eat like a crusty bagel or an English muffin with all those nooks and crannies that you fill with butter, or because I'm a New Yorker, like the height of breakfast is, ooh, are you okay? Yeah. Getting some scars in the kitchen is just part of the experience. It's just part of the experience.
Just burn the child.
Are you done? Okay. So I want to have a like perfectly toasted Kaiser roll with a softly cooked egg with some really like low grade cheese that's all folded together with salt and pepper on it. And that in New York is like the classic breakfast that like any corner bodega will make, and it's like $2.50. And here, if you try to get like a breakfast sandwich, it's like $9.50. It doesn't make any sense. I don't know, Randi, can you defend California?
Okay, I like to eat cookies for breakfast, but I was publicly shamed yesterday at a cycling birthday party outside where I had a pancake with syrup. Well, the other girls had their carb-free whatever. I think California is discouraging the eating of carbs in public.
I agree.
And so I feel like it's a public commentary and a judgment issue, which at Leo Beck Temple, we have no judgment.
Yeah.
So,
And you know what? I've heard that California, or maybe it's Los Angeles, have the better bagels than New York. So
that article actually was wrong.
It's so wrong.
It's so wrong. It's very sweet that they said that, but honestly,
I'm so gullible.
I've been to some of those places, and
all those places, right? Benjamin.
I do think the New York bagel on San Vicente, that is like a decent bagel, and they have the flagel, which is the flattened bagel, so you get more territory.
It's too big, that bagel. It doesn't even, it's a bagel.
You have to slice it. If you get that bagel, you have to slice it 3 times, Randi, to get the tower of bagel.
Okay.
By the way, I just wanted to add that I think it was your very first sweet and spicy. You did gravlax.
Yeah.
And I want you to know that I've been making that recipe pretty much ever since you brought it up.
Oh.
So if you're going to talk about bagel toppings, I just want to say, whether it's an Essa bagel or a California bagel, your gravlax is mighty tasty on any bagel.
Thank you. And gravlax actually can carry you through Passover because it can really save a matzah.
Right.
Gravlax can save and elevate a matzah.
True.
I just put in 2 cups of wine. This is a Sancerre, which is like
I'm drinking French too. I got a Bourgogne.
So that looks good. So when you're cooking with wine, as you know, we don't use the fanciest wine, but you don't want to use a horrible wine. Oh my God, I forgot. So I wanted to say, Ziki just noted that while New York is well known for the bagel, LA has a lockdown on the donut. Oh, what did you say? Okay. What? Oh, you said New York's famous for its donuts. Okay, all right. Well, some people might quibble. As folks know, the Cambodians have cornered the market on donuts. They came here in the late 70s and got into wholesale. And now I think 90% of all the donut places you see are Cambodian run. That's why you'll often see Thai iced coffee at Cambodian places. Okay, so we have the wine in, and we don't just hold it here. If you're gonna hold it, you can stir it, Ziki.
Why is it hot?
Because it's going. We want to cook this down. We want to cook the wine down by 3/4 to really concentrate the flavor and make sure that we don't get any of the alcohol flavor. So the last thing we're gonna do once that happens is throw in the beans, and then you can keep this vegan by just putting in water. You can put in veggie stock if you want. She likes to put in the tomatoes. I don't love that. I don't love the tomatoes in this particular soup, so I'm not putting it in. Liz is more of a tomato fan. And I also think, as like Randi was saying before, do people really want soups now? It's like 80, 90 degrees out. I feel like when you take the tomatoes out, it makes it a little bit of a lighter soup. And this soup, because it is just, leeks and onions and celery and carrots, it is just very light. And at the very end, we're gonna add in the Swiss chard, just the leaves. So very simple. Let's just pause here before we transition and see if there is any questions that people have either in the chat box, which Adam can read out loud, or if you want to just raise your hand and Adam sees you. I see Randi.
So I eat a lot of bean soup for breakfast also. And what I do is I take toast, which I know, we have to wait till next week. But I take toast and I rub it with a garlic clove. And then I put a little olive oil drizzle on it. And I submerge it in my bean soup. And then I put a little like herb oil that I make, which like a herb blend, which would be like whatever herbs you have. And I make a melange with oil and olive oil. So like cilantro and basil and mint or something, all whirled up in a blender. And I put that on top. Ooh. And with a poached egg or a fried egg, so delicious for breakfast.
Do you know,
I'm so curious that you guys are both soup people for breakfast.
I think soup for breakfast is brilliant.
Yeah.
Breakfast is the most important meal. I'm more of a cookie person. First, my special helper just arrived, and he is more of a breakfast person, Jeff. So we have compromised, and it just it's so tasty, and it lasts all day.
It lasts all day.
Like
Yeah.
If you have a really good breakfast, and it's so full of nutrition. I always feel like if I have a really healthy breakfast, because herbs, which are very, very tasty, actually have a lot of micronutrients. That's what makes them so tasty. So if you have this herb oil on there with your kale and your beans and your egg and whatever, you can eat cookies the rest of the day. It's all good.
Sounds great.
Amazing. Soups or cookies. Okay. The last thing I'll say, and then I'm going to hand it off to Randi, is, and we're going to talk about toppings afterwards. Randi already got us started with the poached and the herbs, and we're going to add fresh thyme to this and let that cook with the wine. And then that's not for that right now. Then when we come back, we will finish this and add the Swiss chard. So let me hand it over to Randi to continue with our soups for the soul.
Okay, so I also making a bean soup because I don't know about you, but I bought a lot of canned beans in the beginning of the pandemic. And now I'm using them all up. And I happen to love beans. I think they're a really perfect food. And so this soup, which is, it really should be in Genius Recipes. If you do not have that cookbook, you should definitely get it. But it is so much better than the sum of its parts. So it's onion and celery that's diced. And it's, I've sauteed it here about 5 minutes. And then you add, so I'm making soup for 2 or 3. You add 4 cups of broth. I'm using water and this Better Than bouillon, which I happen to think makes a very delicious soup. So I'm going to add 4 cups of water and a tablespoon of that Better Than bouillon.
I use that too. Love it.
It happens to be great. And then that I'm going to add the beans once that comes to a boil. I can do it now. The soup's incredibly forgiving. And then in 5 minutes, it's done, sort of. And so there is a topping that goes on it, which is a salad, which is 1 cup of, and this is for 2 or 3 servings. So for 4 cups of liquid, 1 cup of cilantro, and you use the stems, the soft stems, not the really thick ones. And then I save the celery because I want to show you when you buy a head of celery, it has all these leaves, which normally people are throwing away. They are supposedly poisonous for dogs. I don't know.
That's
but
true. We eat them all the time.
I don't know if it's true. I mean, Baxter doesn't like them. I don't know if that means anything. He eats anything, so maybe that's true. I don't know. But you take these leaves, which have a very interesting flavor, which you wouldn't know. You would normally throw the leaves away. And so you take these leaves and you cut them up with your cilantro, and I just chop them up. You put it in a bowl, mix it all up nicely, squeeze a little bit of fresh lemon juice on it, add some, I use fleur de salt, which, here's the thing about salt. I know it's supposed to be bad. It's actually not bad unless in very unusual circumstances. But the thing about flake salt is that for things to taste salty, it has to sit on your tongue in a certain way. And if you use a flaked salt, you get more bang for your buck, so to speak. So you can use less. It tastes salty, and you get that sort of salt kind of feel from this like salad that you put on top of the soup. So you take the middle of the celery and you take these leaves and then chop them up with your cilantro. And in 5 minutes, this soup is going to be done. Now, when you serve it, I gave the recipe to make your own chili oil, but I am a big fan of chili crunch oil. And you can buy a really great one at Trader Joe's, which I love, which I have here. It's if you go to Westwood, it's next to the produce section and it's very close to the pasta, but that's where you find it. Momofuku has one that you can buy, which is not expensive. And it was also quite tasty. I couldn't get the Trader Joe's one when I was in Wyoming, so I got that one and it works perfectly fine. Or you can make your own chili oil, which you can use in any kind of recipe. But this recipe that chili crunch oil adds this umami, I guess, that you can't explain. It's very nice once you serve it. So I have exactly when to.
Randi, this is the original Angry Grandma brand from China.
Okay.
It's the Lao Gan Ma. This is the original, that chili crisp from Trader Joe's is like hopping also, which is also very tasty. One also from Trader Joe's.
Oh, is it Trader Joe's too? Okay.
There's like a whole town that's just recently been revitalized because this has become such a popular condiment in China.
What is it though?
I think Peachy's trying. Yeah, Peachy wants to know what is chili oil.
It's fried oil and chilies and garlic.
And some of them have beans, mung beans or different kind of beans in them. But I like the Trader Joe's one, or maybe the Mama one, because it doesn't have a lot of preservatives. If you go into Ralph's, I noticed that you can buy some chili crunch paste, but it has all kinds of things we don't want. Monosodium glutamate and all kinds of things we don't want. So this one from Trader Joe's is very delicious, very inexpensive, and very available, and it does the trick. If you want to make your own chili oil, which you can use in a multitude of other recipes, and I can add a recipe that also is benefited from the chili crunch paste at the end, then you can make it by sauteing garlic and olive oil, and then very gently, never to brown it, and then put it in a bowl, add some chili flakes, and that makes your own chili crunch paste. But I say, why reinvent the wheel when Trader Joe's is here to save us? So
chili oil, I mean, is that a lot of chili oil that you put into your soup?
No, you add literally like a little tiny, I use like
a drizzle?
Not like a drizzle, it's got crunchies in it. So I use actually a little espresso teaspoon, or like half of a teaspoon probably is what you put on top. Right. You know, it's taste. I mean, some people, I like things spicy, but that's, if you want to just do it kind of mild, but get sort of this savory flavor that you can't explain, then you want to do it.
The crisp is great on eggs. You can put it in any soup to give it a little goose. I think it's a great condiment to have around.
It's a great condiment. You know, you think there was an article in the Wall Street Journal that I kind of think got me started on it. I don't know if that's where you learned about it, Benson, but I didn't know anything about chili crunch paste until the Wall Street Journal let me know about it, which is also my source for all my fashion. So whether you like my fashion or don't like my fashion, it comes from the Wall Street Journal. So
Randi, Sally's asking, she's not a fan of cilantro. A lot of people are not. What else could you use instead of cilantro?
So there's a big percentage of the population that cilantro tastes like soap to them. I would imagine you could probably sub parsley, but it doesn't have much, Italian parsley, it doesn't have much of a taste in my opinion. But you could, very fresh Italian parsley would work mixed with the celery leaves. The celery leaves add a flavor that is indescribable, and you wouldn't think that it would make a difference, but I've tried the soup with no celery leaves. The celery leaves are the answer. So I would use, some people like a lot of dill. I'm not a huge fan of dill. I like a little bit of dill, but I would consider parsley and dill mixed with celery leaves. Chervil, which is kind of like a lemony tasting herb, but it looks almost like an arugula. You could do, I would mix arugula and the celery leaves, and that would actually work too.
Ooh, I love arugula.
Does tarragon make it completely a totally different soup taste?
Tarragon, I love tarragon. Completely, I would say a little bit of that mixed with different herbs would probably add that oomph that cilantro gives. So if you're not going to use cilantro and you're going to use parsley, you could add a little dill, a little chervil, a little tarragon. You could mix all those things together. I'm so into easy. Don't listen, Jeff, that I try to do the minimum. And so the cilantro gives that oomph that I need, but I think you could mix any kind of herb salad is what this ends up being.
And Randi, when you say easy, you are a pretty sophisticated cook, I would say. Like, in your multi-step process that you talked about, that would be more steps than I would be ready for. But I know that you move at such a high speed. You're like a blur in the kitchen. So just to be fair to the rest of us that aren't quite as competent as you.
It's interesting because I have been told that, it only took you X to make dinner. Like, because I'm organized, and because I had all the ingredients in the refrigerator, and because I do move at a fast twitch pace, I'm a fast twitch person, that doesn't mean that it wasn't like a big deal. So yeah, I agree with you. But
it's not like a 3-day lamb shoulder.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Oh no, I'm not the slow twitch person with the 3-day lamb shoulder. But the thing about the soup is the salad really makes it. And so any kind of tasty herb salad thing is going to really, make this happen. So
what a beautiful soup for spring.
Yeah, but it's still a hot soup, so I'm kind of like, oof. But
No, I was just saying that it's a beautiful soup for spring. It's really because of all the beautiful green in it.
Greens.
So, but one thing about this soup is that it's incredibly satisfying because you can make it lots of different ways. So the soup is actually ready to go. And I'm going to show it to you because I had sauteed the onion.
Don't plate it yet.
Don't plate it till the end.
I'm not going to plate it to the end. But I had sauteed, I'm so bad with the camera. I had sauteed the celery and the onion very gently. And the key is not to brown the celery and onion. And that is actually easier said than done.
Why is that? Randi, in this recipe, which originally came, I guess, from Dan Barber at Blue Hill that people may know in New York City. And then Deb Perlman got it. Dan says, don't brown it. She's like, a little brown is okay. Why is that?
So it depends what you want to do with a soup. When you want really rich broth, you want to brown things because that caramel flavor it changes the flavor. So like this is like a spring soup with a salad. You want everything to be sweet and you don't want that caramel rich, wintry kind of flavor. And so it's a fresher soup when you don't brown it.
Yes, because then you're putting the herbs on top at the end.
Yeah, if you screw up and it browns, like, okay, whatever, it doesn't matter. Because, if you add broth, that's from browned vegetables, right? So it's probably just silly. But it does taste a little fresher if you don't brown it. It's a little cleaner, a little less, that sugary, caramely, kind of richer kind of broth. So that's the difference. I mostly, when you're making a soup, especially if you're not going to add some kind of broth, you definitely want to brown. That's where the flavor comes from. So with this soup, which I love, is you can make it into a meal by, I cooked up some, this is like the black rice I don't know if you guys have tried this.
The Wild Kingdom rice.
This one, you can buy it from Lundgren, but this one happens to be from Thailand, but it's a black rice. There's brown rice, but this is a black rice. And I put that in when I'm serving it. I add either leftover pasta or leftover rice, and then some cooked chicken if you want. You could add, I was going to say shrimp, but probably shouldn't say that right now. But you could add some other sort of protein. The recipe originally called for
no shrimp on Passover, Randy.
Yeah, exactly. It's like a double negative. I don't know. Maybe
Randy, can you freeze your soup or you cannot?
I'm sure you could, but not. You definitely couldn't freeze the greens. You'd have to add the fresh greens.
Right.
I usually freeze soups. I just make like kind of enough and then eat it for a couple of days and then I'm done.
I freeze all the time.
So do I.
You just said such a great idea. I have some frozen truffle vinaigrette that makes a lot and is so hard to make and so many steps that I froze it and it's perfect when you unfreeze it. So I have to work on the freezer more. But this soup, you can add yogurt. And I know a lot of people are anti-cow. And so I tried it with a sheep's milk yogurt or a goat milk yogurt, and it's absolutely fantastic. So it makes it a little bit richer. So it's, if you want to make it more of a meal, between the beans and the yogurt, you actually get like a complete protein. So it is a great meal. If you add rice or pasta or have bread on the side or matzah on the side, then you like a complete meal. And it's soup is great. It fills you up. It's not fattening. It's like really great. It feels like, I think what Benjamin was saying, you feel really good and warm inside. It's just a great thing. And
Randy, we are soup ambassadors. We are soup ambassadors.
Big time.
Laura, we want you to join us.
I love soup. I love especially freezing soup. Like I love, what am I going to have for lunch? And especially with those smaller Tupperware containers and you're not sure what to have for lunch, or you just feel like a quick dinner. And those kinds of things are so nice to be able to pull out of your freezer or your fridge. And certainly during the pandemic right now, I would say it's really nice to have a comforting kind of food like soup. And there's so many varieties. Like there's obviously meatless and some with meat. And I'm a huge soup fan.
Oh, great. Show us what you have to offer, Laura.
I'd be happy to. So, it's so funny. When you think about a nice 85-degree day, I don't know, does that not call sweet potato lentil curry with chickpeas a nice, warm, comforting soup? Yes. But here's the thing, just so you all know, I will tell you that I was asked to join this a couple weeks ago when it was cold out. And so what did I do? I pulled out a nice, delicious, cooler recipe for all of you, only to find the day I'm preparing it, it's 85 degrees out. But that's okay. This is
Laura,
yeah.
You brought the lentils, and the lentils with the soup is so, it's not a surprise. You're the vice president of education and lifelong learning.
Oh, yes.
Look at, what did Jacob prepare?
Right.
Ben,
except for the accompaniment to this soup, which is not quite kosher for Passover because it does require a little bit of rice on it. Everything else about it, and by the way, I'm with you there about the toppings. I cannot wait to talk about toppings. But let me tell you a little bit about my soup. I discovered it on a site that I don't typically find recipes on. It's called Harvest Moon. And I guess it's because once in a while, you just have that friend that comes. I love to make a lot of roasts and meat for dinner, especially when I have company. But then you know what it's like when you've got like one or two people that come over and they say, but I'm a vegetarian. Nothing wrong with that. That's awesome. But then what I want to do is have a really fabulous meal for them too. Or I want us all to be able to engage in a really delicious vegetarian meal. And so that was sort of the impetus behind this recipe. And what I did before, since I knew I was going last, I already got a head start on this. And I sauteed some finely minced shallots. This is where I'm going to push back, Ben, about the Vidalia onion versus shallots. I'm a shallot girl. I really, there's some, no, do not disgrace the shallot. I have to say.
Your kids are older than mine. So it's just
That's
like
true.
minutes
And
of
by
difference.
the way, they taste delicious on the gravlox on the bagel. So just pointing that out.
I cleaned out my leeks.
And the sauce that you-
It can be worth the work.
Yes, yes. Anyway, I did saute some shallot and some minced ginger and sweet potatoes until they were all quite soft. And after that, I poured in about 3 cups of vegetable broth. I don't recommend in this case that you use chicken broth. I would stick with the vegetable broth. However, if you just don't have vegetable broth in your cupboard, put water in, that's fine. And here's why, because of this friend. This is Thai red curry paste. I got this from Whole Foods, yes. And I admit, I hear you, Randi and Ben, and even possibly you too, Linda, liking the spice. And here's what I would say. In my moderate age right now, I used to love spicy foods, but I've kind of changed on that. I don't love it anymore. So what I want to say is I love flavor, but I don't like the spice. So here's what I would say. This is very flavorful. A lot of it will be spicy for those of you that like the spice, and a little bit like what I put in, 1 to 2 teaspoons versus tablespoons, gives it that beautiful flavor. So I put in some of that. I am a red boat fish sauce girl, and I do particularly like this. I knew you'd like it too, Ben. Yeah, it's really fantastic. So I put fish sauce in there, and I put soy sauce, and I put 1 tablespoon of creamy peanut butter. Don't put crunchy unless you want that crunch in there. I don't recommend it. And I stirred it all really together. Do be sure to stir in the creamy peanut butter, because when I tried feeding this to one of my kids once before, they got a big glob of peanut butter. So do be sure to stir that really well. And so I'm going to show you, since that's what I had going on, this is what my soup is looking like right now as it's on the stove. And I'm about to add my coconut milk. So this is I'm dumping it in. And I'm about to add 2 cups of spinach.
Laura, can I ask you a question about the coconut milk? Did you?
You certainly can. Are you about to ask me light versus full?
No, I was not, but I do think it is good to weigh in on that. But my son Reuven flagged for me that there is a brand of coconut milk that was being sold at Costco, which we happen to have a couple of them in our cupboard. It was a company in Thailand that was basically doing slave labor with monkeys.
Oh,
and
no.
They were using monkeys to harvest the coconuts, and all these big companies stopped using them, and they're changing their practices. But I felt like we broke our son's heart because we had these like enslaved monkey coconut milk in our pantry. I was like, oh my God. So we stopped purchasing them. But
well, I think I was going to say, is the moral of the story to stop purchasing coconut milk or just from Costco?
No, it was just from Costco, but I think Costco switched their brand and is working with the company. So anyway, I saw your brand.
I am not particular on brands. So whether it comes from Costco, Trader Joe's, Whole Foods, any place, I'm not picky about that.
I just used some a light coconut milk from Ralph's, and it was horrible. So I just would not.
Well, I think that yes, Peachy.
Peachy.
I just want to tell you that I use the same kind of stock that Randi uses. I use the vegetable one, and it's very good.
I have the roasted garlic ones.
You know, the better, I think she means better than bouillon.
I like this other better.
Better than bouillon?
Better than bouillon.
That's what I use the vegetable.
All kinds of meat, but they have vegetable. And
I use that one.
Is that something you all buy at Gelson's?
No, anywhere.
Oh, okay.
It's really good.
It's really good.
Okay, I have seen it. I'm gonna have to get it. But for this, I've just used vegetable stock from my favorite store, Trader Joe's. And so this is all just simmering right now. I put in 2 more cups of spinach, and it's about ready to go.
Can we see it again, Laura?
Yes, of course. And then I have to show you finished product. So,
oh, God, that looks
one
good.
thing I want to mention, it's really exquisite. But one thing I wanted to say is that for some of us, we've gotten gadgets during the pandemic, and I might have gotten this gadget pre-pandemic, but I love the Instant Pot. For those of you that used to use pressure cookers, the new thing is now the Instant Pot. So I just wanted to mention that in this recipe, which is included, I have put down instructions for stovetop, like the one you just saw me do here, but this morning I made it in the Instant Pot. And that is really fast. And so like when you've got to make lunch really fast for everybody in the middle of the day, that is a great fast thing if you happen to have an Instant Pot. So I gave you both recipes or both ways to prepare it.
And I want this recipe. That is so amazing.
Well, Randy, hold on to your socks. I know it looks amazing just as is, but you haven't seen the toppings. One thing I wanted to mention are the toppings. So this particular one requires fried chickpeas, and it's in a soy sauce. And this is what that looks like. This is the fried chickpeas in the sauce.
Laura, we've just been baking them lately in our little toaster. Like we empty a can, clean them off a little olive oil, then put seasoned salt.
Exactly.
And it's our kids are eating them now, and they add great texture to salads. And
so this is what I meant when I said you're gonna love it in this soup. How fun for them that they get to put it on there. And the colors of this soup, Linda, do we get to show right now the like final product surprise?
We're getting close.
Let's see if there's some more questions. But I did have a question. Do you do blending? Do you do a half blend? Randy,
are you talking about for the soup?
Yeah.
No, it turns into kind of slushy as it is. I don't know if it's because of the lentils or what it is. It kind of turns into almost like a stew consistency.
So you don't do like a hand blender or anything like that?
Nothing. I do, because we cook so much soup, is I do really try to mix it up. I generally do not like to blend soup, but Liz likes them a little more blended. So sometimes we'll take out half and blend it and put it, especially when we're working with beans, because it adds it kind of add a little creaminess to it without adding cream or anything. So it can be fun to play with.
So Benjamin probably cooked his beans from dried beans, but when you're using canned beans, there's always this do you drain the beans and rinse them, or do you use them with the sort of glutinous stuff that's in there? It depends on the recipe. This one is like a clean soup, so I rinse the beans. But if you want some texture, I usually just don't drain the can of beans, and I maybe blend with a hand blender a little bit so that you get like Benjamin says, you get kind of chunky, but you get some texture in the soup, which also feels more satisfying, I guess.
And Randy, just to point out, because in my case with the chickpeas, I did not want that sludge I don't want to call it that, but that's the only way to call it, to make it kind of thicker from the can. And so just to show you, I did drain my chickpeas. I did wash them. And then they're sitting here. I don't know if you can see them, but they're sitting on the paper towel drying off, which I used before I fried them up.
Right. Well, if you're going to fry them, obviously they need to be rinsed and dry.
But for a creamier soup, I could see how you would use the sludge.
Yeah, like a white bean chili or something. I use the sludge. Honestly.
Yeah.
Is this for it? I came in late this afternoon. Sorry. Are the recipes someplace?
Yes, they're on
Shul Cloud.
They are on Shul Cloud, and I don't know if it gets taken off.
Can you drop the link in? Do you have them in? I know mine was on a Google Doc. I don't know if you can grab that and give it to Peachy, and if not,
sure, yeah,
we'll absolutely email them to you.
Absolutely,
we will do that. That's not a problem. So maybe
let's start.
Should we start plating?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm ahead of you guys. I've already plated.
Okay, you go first.
So I don't want to brag, but this is what my bad boy looks like.
Yeah.
I put it alongside a nice a little bit of white rice. I totally know it's not kosher for Passover, but just putting it out.
It is. Hey, it is.
By the way, yes.
And I knew that.
It is.
Beans are okay now.
Perfect. Okay. And then I put this delicious, it's really like a stew-like mixture. And then in the
Or
center,
you're
yeah.
very on fleek because bowls are like they're like the new wraps.
Right. Oh, you're so right about this. And I'm going to turn this upside
We
down. So
actually
you
should
can
be
really
doing
see
an episode just on the bowl. We're a big bowl family also. That looks fantastic. Oh my God.
Yeah, so that it has pomegranate seeds. It has cilantro. Who is the one? Is it Sally who doesn't like cilantro?
Sally.
Right. I can't really pick out because it's a Thai flavor. Cilantro is sort of the key thing. Like I don't think there's a substitute.
You could do a Thai basil.
Well, maybe, but what I would actually say is because there's already spinach inside, you could also just do chopped spinach, or you're right, a Thai basil, and then these are the fried chickpeas, which I just want to eat all by itself.
That looks amazing.
It looks amazing.
And it's a marvelous meal. I have to say, it's really satisfying. So enjoy.
Vegan for all.
That's right.
Vegan people now.
That's right.
Wow.
Enjoy it. It's really delicious, I have to say.
Thank you, Laura.
Pleasure.
Well, I'll go next. I have I just scooped out some of this Swiss chard and white bean soup, and then I put on a little fresh parm, and then we often are putting capers in things or caper juice because I'm gonna just put that in. It gives a nice little salinity, and then this soup takes particularly well to acid. So I think that she uses some sort of a sherry vinegar, but I'm just like a lemon fan, so I'm just gonna do lemon. And this is really it. And this is a great breakfast. I don't know if people can see.
Yum.
Wait, hold on. I'm gonna bring over the power.
Wow, that looks delicious.
Can you see it now?
Yes.
So this is a great meal. I think you can have this any time of day. And you actually also feel virtuous, and I use the chickpeas and I use white beans, and the Swiss chard gives it nice bite, and there's the salinity from the capers and the brightness from the lemon. And if I like it a little bit crunchier, so I try to undercook the carrots a little bit. I like them to feel a little toothsome. And then, as Randi said before, you can put a poached egg on there or a fried egg. That is very in style. You could put a bird on it, as they say. I actually just found this product at Murukai, which is one of the Japanese supermarkets on the west side. And they're pre-poached eggs in a shell. It's like soft. It's like, so poaching an egg is not complicated, although it can be kind of intimidating. I've just in the last number of years started to do it, but it's like a thing you have to potchki over. You got to get the water ready. You got to put in a little vinegar. You got to stir it this way. You got to put the thing in. You got to pull the stuff out. You got to time. Anyways, all you do is crack this open, and it's like being at a ramen house with a perfectly slow cooked egg.
Wow.
And they're all ready. It's all ready. It's awesome. It's a really fun product. We've been enjoying having it. I don't know. You don't need it. You can fry an egg, poach an egg, cook an egg. You can do whatever you want with an egg, but it's nice to have. And then Sally, I just want you to know, this is not cilantro. This is just a little dill, which I feel speaks to my Eastern European ancestry. So I just finished that. It's always nice to put a little green on top. And I'm going to go bring this to Martha, who's going to be at home tonight.
Happy anniversary.
Thank you so much. 10-year anniversary. Woo!
All right.
Anniversary.
Is that awesome?
So
All right, Randi, bring us home.
Okay, so I am going to plate my soup. I'm going to make mine like a meal. So I've got some cooked chicken left over from Passover, and I'm putting that in the bottom of my bowl. Let me see. I'm the worst photographer in the world. And then I've got some of this black rice that I prepared that I find really delicious and tasty. And because Benjamin said we could have beans and rice because we're Ashkenazi and we're Reformed, we can have that now. The rabbis have had a change of heart, so we can do that. So I put a little rice and a little chicken in the bowl, and I put my hot soup on top. And it just seems too simple to be true, but it's just delicious. So I've got a little hot soup of the celery, beans, and onion. And then I'm going to add my salad-y stuff, which I'm going to put this lemon on top of my salad greens. And I'm going to mix it around with a little bit of fleur de sal. So this is that flaked salt that gives you all the salt feeling without so much salt actual. So I kind of put that on top and mix that all around. And this, you put like a good half a cup per bowl. And then I'm going to take my chili crunch paste. And again, I give you the recipe for your own chili paste. I am a woman of a certain age, and I think I have more age than Laura, and I love a spicy soup. So
everybody's walking their own path with the spice.
Everybody walks their own path, but women of a certain age can still like spicy. I feel like we shouldn't be prejudiced against women of a certain age. So this is a chili crunch paste. I take a nice
wow, look at that.
That is a lot. Woo.
That's awesome. Do you know what's great?
So much.
It's also because, Randi, you have the freshness of the herbs there. You have that crunch of the chili spice. You also, with the black rice, you have that nice chew.
Uh-oh.
That's what we like. I mean, what we found is that the black rice is not so good when you're serving it as a side, although very healthy, but really nice because it gets so much texture in the soup. So
I think the black rice and quinoa can be a nice mix also.
Some people don't like quinoa. It has a little bit of a bitter taste to it. I happen to like quinoa, but not everybody likes quinoa.
People who feel that way have a bitter attitude, I find.
Yeah, exactly. But this soup is just amazing and very healthy. And it's like you can eat cookies after because you've saved so many calories. I'm all about the cookies.
All three of these meals are just springboards to sugar. So that's great.
Yeah. Okay, thank you.
These are such a nice variety. Randi, the way that was plated, it reminded me, have you ever seen those, where are they from? There's that, Burma Tea Salad. Have you ever seen those tea leaf salads that they have at Burmese restaurants? It's like it's like a pile of herbs because there are all these herbs that they make teas out of, and it has this crunch of peanuts and there's rice and there's some lemon. It's so tasty. I don't know if you guys have ever been to Burma Superstar in San Francisco.
I'm gonna text myself right now so that I go to Burma.
It's like one of those, a gazillion people have been there on Yelp, but it's a really fun restaurant.
Burma Superstar, is that what
Burma
you're calling?
Superstar in San Francisco, God willing, they're still open. I happened to see one of my favorite Asian restaurants on the west side, Simpang, which is more Indonesian, Malaysian. They just opened an outlet on Lincoln next to this Vietnamese place called Band, B-A-N-D, which is also has very good Vietnamese food. As it goes.
I feel like you should put that, by the way, in the chat. And I was going to say, isn't there somewhere like on National that also has like that's one of the restaurants?
That's the one. Simpang is in Palms in that area. Yeah, that's the primary location.
I've seen it.
Yes, they've been amazing hosts for tasting in Torah on multiple occasions and have catered at the temple, and they're very nice people. And I have to say, I don't know. I went to South Coast Botanical Gardens today. Have you guys ever been there?
No.
So beautiful. And I just I don't know, this is so off topic, but while we're talking about Asian food, there's so many Asians are there because it's in Torrance. And I just every Asian person I see now, I just want to, I'm like, hi, I want them to feel safe and comfortable because it's been such a scary moment to be Asian in America. It's if you've watched any of these horrible videos,
Can you tell us, because I would like to know I know this is totally off topic of soup. What can we do? What should we do?
Yeah, it's a great question. There are rallies that are happening. There's ways in which they're trying to get police to be more responsive to labeling things as anti-Asian hate crimes instead of just calling them violence against different people. That was actually a really big part of what the ADL had to work on when they first came into being, was if you're just beating up a Jew, maybe you're just beating up a Jew, but there's something to it when you're targeting a particular person. But it's a newer thing in our country that we're giving. It's not actually, it's been around.
It's not newer. We've
great.
turned off.
But it's been a big spike in the last, it's gone up about 150% in the last year, for all the reasons we could name. Anyways, I just named that to say everybody should be eating out in Asian restaurants, just as your civic duty as an American. And I'm so grateful to Randi and Laura for being both sweet and spicy. They really full
That
package.
was a lot of fun. Thank you for inviting us.
It was a great night.
Oh my God, Laura, I'm gonna make your soup like a million
I'm
times.
thinking the same. I love the spring part of your soup, and yours, Benjamin, looks fabulous. I can't wait to try them.
Can you guys take photos of your finished products and send it to us so we need to
Perfect.
it somewhere.
Perfect idea. I want to invite you all back. We're at the first Thursday night of the month, sweet and spicy, and join us again. This was so wonderful. Thank you, ladies. Thank you, Rabbi Ross.
Thank you, everybody who joined us. We hope that your month ahead is
Sweet
and spicy.
And spicy. Yeah.
Thank you, everyone.
Everyone, early Shabbat Shalom,
everybody.
Hatsamea.
Laura, I have to tell you, I've got that Thai spice in my refrigerator. I'm so glad to know I can have something else to use it for.
I'm so excited, Peachy. I'm just letting you know you will love it. Do you like spicy, Peachy?
No, I don't like spicy.
Well, neither do I. Neither do I, Peachy. I don't like it either. So you and I are kindred spirits, because I was going to say I also don't like it spicy.
For some recipe, and it's been sitting there.
Right. This is perfect because it gives it flavor without the spiciness.
Very good.
All right.
Laura, before we go, do you like the green one or no?
Do I?
Yeah, do you like the green one? Is that spicier? Because I love the
You know,
green.
honestly, I've never tried the green one. I've only tried the red curry paste.
Try. Well, I think with your warm kind of sweet potato, I think the red goes, but the green one, I wonder if you would like that too. But
Is it milder?
I don't know. I love spicy, and I know I'm a woman of a certain age, older than you, but I love spicy. So
Randi did not take that to heart at all.
No, I know. I used to love things really spicy, but I just feel like I've got that taste has left that train has gone, and so that I don't like it the same way I used to. And so now I've become really sensitive to it. But I do like the flavors, like of the Thai cuisine, and so that's why this soup is so marvelous, because it incorporates those beautiful flavors without it being too spicy. But for people like Randi and Benjamin who do like more spice, add more.
all right.
I don't know. I'm the sweet person. I like sweet.
Well, what I did want to say is that if you go to hotter climates, they have spicier food there.
Yeah, but it's because it's antibiotic. The spice is actually antimicrobial, so that's why it makes sense. And so I love spicy. I just love.
Yeah, and you live in LA, it's perfect.
The spicy.
Yeah.
Thank
My
you
favorite.
all.
All right.
Wonderful
See you.
evening.
Hugs